let's get into these documentaries. Now, like we said, if you watch part 1, there was kind of a theme this year, death. There was a lot of cancer. In fact, I've got some for you now. So this film was called André's...
Brilliant segue.
So actually, this is a fun story.
Okay.
So when I had my notebook paper out, and I'm scrolling through all the films that are available to watch at Sundance, and I'm jotting down the ones that I'm interested in seeing. I'm making my short list of 40 films. Remember that I sent you the short list of 40 films, and I would put a little note next to each one.
I remember
as to
the
why,
notes. They were quite
yes.
entertaining.
And I wrote down, André is an idiot - André has butt cancer. And the thumbnail is this wild-haired guy lit from behind who looks a little bit like Nicolas Cage. And that guy is André Ricciardi. And he is a San Francisco native who worked in advertising and didn't get his colonoscopy at 45 or 50 or 51. Finally, at 52, he decides, I should go ahead and do that. By that time, it's too late. He gets his colonoscopy and he finds out he has stage 4 colorectal cancer. It is deemed incurable. He is given a timeline. So he reaches out to get a documentary crew because he wants to face this head on. This guy is irreverent. This guy has indefatigable humor, and he approaches life in a very interesting way. The film opens with him telling a story about literally putting his penis where it doesn't belong. That's how the film opens. And it tells the story of how he met his wife. She was a Canadian bartender in San Francisco, and she asked his friend if they would marry her so that she could get her green card. And André was like, I'll do it. And they got married, and then they're like, wait a minute, we're going to get asked questions from whatever, INS maybe? So we got to learn about each other really quickly. So they just they just spent nights drinking and asking questions, and they got to know each other so well. They're like, you know what, we can commodify this. So they went on the Newlywed Game, and they won, like a lot. And then while they're on one of the vacations they won on the Newlywed Game, they legitimately fell in love. And they had 2 beautiful children. And they stayed together the rest of their lives. It's a crazy story. And André's life is full of that. He's very avant. He'll do whatever. And
I mean, you got to be that way if your first impulse is like, you have cancer, let me call a doc crew.
Yes. He speaks with a life coach who was actually, I guess, kind of a death coach, who offers people the opportunity to work on their death yell, the sound they make when they die, to leave an impression. And so he meets with that person. At one point, he and his friend rent an RV and drive out to the desert just to get away from the noise. And there's poignant moments, but there's a lot of humor. There's a lot of levity. There's a lot of claymation and stop motion animation. At one point, he pitches the idea of Who Gets to Kill Me. And it's a game show where people pitch different ideas about how they want to do him in, and he gets to pick the winner. He wanted to donate his body, not to science, but to something else. It was very strange. So it's irreverent. It's fun. It's bouncy. It's light.
It's the fun cancer movie.
And then, by the third act, we watch him waste away.
Oh, my God.
It is very affecting. But prior to, he visits his old advertising firm, and they pitch a couple of ideas to him about an awareness campaign to get your colon checked, and they find all these things in nature and the world that almost resemble rectums, like navel oranges. I think at one point it's like the top of a ketchup bottle or something, and it says, "Don't forget," and that's what runs over the credits. But André does not survive the film. And
oh my God.
It
spoilers.
Yeah, he's an idiot. But it was a really affecting film, really well done. It won the Jonathan Oppenheim Editing Award and the Audience Award for U.S. Documentary, and it affected me. I'm going to get my screening because of this film, and ideally, others will as well. That's the purpose of the film. But I understand the audience voting because it's a journey. It really is.
Well, thank you for seeing that movie.
So that you didn't have
So
to.
I did not have to. Because I saw that. I think I read the blurb and went, nope, I'm not. No.
The blurb
I'm
or
not doing
my Andre has butt cancer?
Your blurb made me laugh. But like, yeah, I was like, I don't, there's enough happening in the world. I don't want to deal with cancer.
I did find a pull quote from the film. At one point, there's a part where he tries to extend his life. He does all the treatment. And at one point, he's recovering from chemotherapy, which knocks you out. And he says, "Dying is surprisingly boring."
Wow.
And for a guy who lived to the fullest, it really does. It does encapsulate what the film is trying to say.
This is the BTRP Media Network.